Jamaica Intellectual Property Office, also called JIPO. We want to thank you all for joining our meeting, and we will go right into our meeting. So we welcome you to our meeting, and intellectual property is very important to the Women in Engineering and the IEEE of Jamaica section and the whole region, IEEE globally, that is. And so we would like to promote it. And so we have collaborated with the Jamaica Intellectual Property Office to promote intellectual property in order for our students and our professional development members to protect their creative work that they've created and their innovations. So we want to welcome you. And at this time, I want to ask our Area 9 Chair, Devon Gale, to just bring greetings to us. I'm not sure we're hearing Devon. Is he muted?
Devon should be able to unmute now.
Hello, morning. Well, afternoon, everyone. Thanks for collaborating with us. I thank the JIPO, Jamaica Intellectual Property Office, for collaborating with the IEEE Women in Engineering Affinity Group in Jamaica, headed by Ms. Charlene Brown. I just want to bring greetings on behalf of the IEEE. Jamaica is situated in Region 3, which is part of southeastern United States. So we tend to work a lot with the US partners within Region 3. And we at Jamaica is one of the only international sections outside of the US. So we feel very special, and we have over the years tried to do innovative things. So we are always happy when we have opportunities like this to partner with our local entities to promote intellectual property in this particular instance. So again, I thank the JIPO office for allowing us to be a part of this. And we just want to say the IEEE is an international organization, and we welcome members from various fields. Even though it says Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers, we cover a wide range of technologies, and almost every area of technology that you can think of is covered by the IEEE. So whoever is interested in technology can choose to become a part of the IEEE. And in the fact that you are based in Jamaica, you will automatically be assigned to the Jamaica section. So again, I just want to welcome everyone to this webinar and thank those who made this possible in terms of organizing it, and especially JIPO. So thanks again, and I'm quite pleased that we can do these things on a regular basis. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Devon. We thank you, and we also would like to welcome our US members that join us here in Jamaica on our webinar. As Devon says, that we're part of the Region 3, which is a part of the southeastern United States of America, and we have some of our members here online, and we want to thank you for joining us. At this time, we would like to invite Ms. Lily Claire Bellamy from the Executive Director for the Jamaica Intellectual Property Office here in Jamaica to bring greetings and to open our webinar series.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm not Miss Bellamy. And she's having a little difficulty logging on at this time. So I think I see Bertrand trying to get her to log in. So I would love to, if you could just give me 2 minutes, let me just give her the opportunity to log on. She's attempting to log on. All right. I'm begging the privilege. Um, I see Bertrand feverishly trying to log her in.
While Bertrand is trying to log in, Mrs. Bellamy, I could go further to tell you a little bit more about our series. The series it's actually a 4-part series, and we will take our next webinar number 2 will be held in June, and that will take us through the process of what are the requirements that one needs to do before actually applying for an intellectual property. And so basically we will take you through that, and then our third webinar will take us through monetizing, how you should monetize your creative ideas for in order for it to become a revenue stream. And then our final one, which will be in December, so our third one will be in October and the final one will be in December, and the final one will tell us more in depth about the laws of the Jamaica intellectual property, that and how to proceed. So basically it's a 4-part series, and we're inviting you to walk with us through all the different series to learn the full package on how we should proceed with to protecting our creative work that we have done on our innovations. So that's basically it about our webinar series, and I'm not sure if Miss Bellamy is now ready to open our series and to bring greetings to us. Miss Bellamy?
Hi, good morning, everybody. How are you?
We're doing good.
Well, it is my pleasure to be able to participate this morning in this very important webinar. As you mentioned, Charlene, this is a critical area and one that is of particular importance now, now that we're in the global pandemic with COVID. All aspects of our creativity becomes very relevant and very important. And the critical and important thing at this time is for us to ensure that we have the necessary mechanisms in place to protect what we have created. It is our pleasure at the Jamaica Intellectual Property Office to partner with you, and we look forward to the continuation of the webinar series and also for your participation by you and your membership in our upcoming Intellectual Property Week activities, which will take place from the 23rd of April and will culminate with our Intellectual Property Week supplement in the Gleaner on May 2nd, 2021. So I look forward to a really wonderful session here today and for our continuing collaboration as we both seek to develop and protect the creativity of each and every person who is a Jamaican or who is resident in Jamaica or globally who seeks to exploit their work here in Jamaica. We'd encourage you to utilize the intellectual property registration system. So without further ado, I wish you a successful webinar today. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Miss Bellamy. We always look forward to partner with the Jamaica Intellectual Property. I remember last year on IEEE Day, you hosted us with a webinar on the Jamaica Intellectual Property, and we continue with our partnership. And it's always good working with intellectual property because you're always guiding us and our members how to protect their their innovations and their creative work that they have done. So thank you very much. So with all I'll just tell for persons on the line who's not aware of what IEEE is, I'll go right into now just to tell you a little about IEEE and a little about the women in engineering. After which we'll have the main speaker for the day, Jason Wangsam, who will take us through the introduction of the Jamaica Intellectual Property Office. He will also go through an introduction of trademarks, design and geographical indication, and he will also go through copyright, GDAs, and patents. So I'll now tell you a little bit about IEEE and women in engineering and the work that we're doing here in Jamaica and globally. And so we will move on further from that side. So IEEE is coming up a very long way. And we started in 1884, and we were first called the American Institute of Electrical Engineers, where we had Thomas Edison, Alexander Graham Bell, and some other notable engineers who started and founded the American Institute of Electrical Engineers. Now, further on in 1912, there was now a focus on international. There's no international development, international focus, and they further changed the name to become the Institute of Radio Engineers. So in 1912, we were called the Institute of Radio Engineers, and we move on further where the ARE, AIEE, and the IRE were now merged in 1963, and we become the Institute of Electrical Electronics Engineers. Now, what is the IEEE? The IEEE is the world's largest technical professional organization, and we're always dedicated to advanced technology for the benefit of humanity. So there are now some quick facts that I would like to share with the team about IEEE, and these were updated as at April 2021. So as we go along each year, we continuously update it based on the numbers. So we have 3,485 student branch colleges in the colleges and the universities. And we span are about 160 in over. We are IEEE is in 100 and over 160 countries. There are also 580 affinity groups, and the affinity groups is like our women in engineering. We specifically address the issues of non-technical areas of the profession. And so the affinity groups are seen as a subunits of different sections. Now, as Devon mentioned before, we have different regions within IEEE. We have 10 different regions. Jamaica falls within Region 3, which is the southeastern side of the US. Globally, or global breadth, global reach, we reach to over 160 countries, as we said, and we have over 400 members globally. We have our student branch, student members, and which include regular student, undergraduate, and graduate student members. This makes up an amount of 107,000. We also, as I mentioned before, student branches 3,485 and affinity groups 580. Now, or technical, we have 46 technical societies and councils, and this is where the technical work and the technical persons in the like professions, they will meet together as technical experts in their society. So we have 46 different technical societies and councils. And we move further now to our technical breadth. So IEEE sponsors 1,600 over 1,600 conferences within 96 countries within the past year, and we have 5 million over 5 million documents in our IEEE Expo. Early on, I was speaking to our JIPO IT person, and he was saying that in his graduate studies, IEEE is part of their pool of research, where they will go to view their journals. And so we have over 170 top cited periodicals, and these are 27 out of the top 30 electrical engineering journals based on the impact factor. Now, we also, IEEE is heavily involved in standards, and so we have over 1,200 active standards and 900 under development. And so, as a member of IEEE, we're always, as members of IEEE, can be a part of the standards committee. You get the chance of being part of developing those standards, being a member of those standard committees. So it's very important to be a member of IEEE, as it helps with your career, in building your career. Now we move on to the women in engineering, and we say, what is woman in engineering? We spoke earlier and we said that it's the non-technical, we facilitate the non-technical side of the IEEE. And so not that we do not do technical things, but we more focus on dedicating and promoting women engineers and scientists. We promote them. We inspire girls around the world to follow their academic interests, and not be afraid of choosing STEM careers. We're also the largest in international professional organization, and so we promote, as we promote women in the field of interest that they're in. There is also our women in engineering, where I'm also the head of I chair the committee for the global senior membership application, where we promote women to move from a membership grade to a senior member grade. So globally, we also facilitate and promote women, because within IEEE, there are certain positions that you have to be a senior member before you can serve in those roles. And so we are women in engineering globally seek to promote and develop a pool of women who will be able to also serve in these positions within IEEE. So one of the benefits of being a woman in engineering membership is that for conferences that we have, you reduce rates. You pay reduced rates to attend these conferences. You get the opportunity to network with other like-minded person within your profession, and you'll get the chance to grow within the profession. There's also a bi-monthly newsletter that members of the Women in Engineering are able to express themselves and what they're doing around the world within their profession, within their local section, within their Women in Engineering. So there's also that space for those women to showcase what they're doing, and to let others know and to learn from what some best practices that they are involved in. There's also a IEEE membership directory, where members can go and meet other members. And there's always, within IEEE, there's always members that are there to help you within your profession. We have the Collaboratech, where members can post any idea, any discussion. We have any discussion within any topic within your field of studies, which can be, you can work, there's a workspace that you can work together within the Collaboratech. And so we promote that, as that's also a benefit, where the collaboration can be between women and men also, not only women, but also men. And we can also grow together and impact the society, impact globally, areas where technology needs to be advanced. And so that's our main role as women in engineering, and as a member of the IEEE. And as I mentioned before, IEEE member grade advancement, women in engineering, we're promoting women to be senior members, so that they could serve in some of these executive areas within the IEEE. And so, how to be an active member within the IEEE and Women in Engineering. So recently we have our volunteer platform, and there's volunteering opportunities for all members of IEEE, all members of Women in Engineering. And this is a platform that we have been promoting recently, where, as a member of the Women in Engineering, from any branch of Women in Engineering, any branch of our section, that members, if you need a volunteer to serve within an area, you could go on this website, and I have the URL here. You could go on this website and you can search. If you say, I want a volunteer, or I need a volunteer, if you want to put forth yourself, advertise yourself as a volunteer to serve within whatever skills you have, you upload what, and somebody will contact you and say, can you work on this for us? And you could put limit there. The system is clear. You can put and say, okay, I only want to do this for once, twice or continuously, you have the option. So if you have a little time to just spare once per month, or if you want, if it's even a little flyer to create, the website is there. If you want to work on some other areas, this is a website that anyone could go to and to display, put their advertisement that they're seeking a volunteer, and you can also advertise yourself as providing yourself to serve as a volunteer. There's also our local section, and in Jamaica we have the Jamaica section. We have 4 student branches in Jamaica, and we have one at the University of Technology. We have one at the University of the West Indies. We have the Caribbean Maritime University, and 3, to correct myself, 3 and 1 in the process of being, which is the Northern Caribbean University. They're in the process now of being formalized. So we work closely with those student branches and within the sections. We do a lot of outreach programs locally within our communities, within our high schools, and within underserved areas. So like now we have a project coming up shortly, which you'll hear more about. We are working with the Denham Town High School in providing some desk shields for the students to support the government's pilot project of face-to-face once they start back. So we're working with these students, and we're trying to get the desk shields for them for their 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 CSEC examination, which is coming up shortly in May, June. So you'll hear more about that. And we also planning as a section to do a 5G summit. And so you also hear more about that in place. And we collaborate with other women in engineering across the globe, because for right now, our women in engineering, we are collaborating with the Sri Lanka section student branch, women in engineering, and they're assisting us in working on our website, and we should be launching our website recently. So these are basically some of the things we have worked in the past with a basic school in the Augustown area. We did a tree planting exercise, and we've been working with the school and the kids there. And so these are just some of the activities. So we invite you, and anyone on the call is not yet a member, to be inspired to be a member of IEEE and Women in Engineering, and come and work with us, come on board, work with us, and so we can advance technology for the benefit of humanity. And I'll stop right here for now, and I'll turn over to you. My contact is here, so if there's any question that anyone would like to ask, or you just want to reach out for clarification about IEEE, my email address is charlenebrown@IEEE.org. You could always contact me, and we could have a conversation if any way in which I can assist. So that is it for just to know a little about IEEE, and I thank you all. At this time, I would like to turn over now to our main presenter for the day, which is Jason Wangsam, and he will take us through the day's presentation, which has to do with intellectual property. So Jason, without any further ado, I will stop share and turn over to you at this time.
Okay, thank you very much, Charlene. Um, let's see. Okay, I'm gonna try and share my screen now. To share your screen, please click on. Okay. All right. So I am working out the kinks. Okay. Okay. So yes. So okay. Are you guys able to see my screen? Tell me if I've done this correctly. You're not seeing my screen?
No, we're not.
Okay, hang on. Let me see what is happening here. Let's see. Okay, share. Okay. I've forgotten how to do this already. Okay, you should be seeing it now.
Yes,
Are
we
you
are.
okay then? Done
Yes,
something right.
you can go
Okay.
presentation mode.
All right. Presentation mode. Let's see. Show slideshow. Let's see. Okay. Tell me if you see. Well, it's still spinning. I don't know. I've confused the machine. Okay. Are you seeing it now? Everybody see it?
We're seeing it, but it's not in
It's not in
presentation.
presentation. It's
No,
not. Tell me what you're seeing, because I'm not sure. Like, hold on. It's not in presentation mode. Hang on. What is it? Oh, I thought it was in presentation. Okay. So, what have I done wrong? All right, hang on. Connect. No, don't tell me I have to install something. Hang on. Presentation. All these bugs. Presentation. Not. Abby. Call Bernard.
What?
Bernard. Call Bernard.
Oh, am I supposed to?
Yeah. Oh.
What's he saying?
Presentation mode. What is happening here? Because I thought I was in presentation mode.
Yeah, so it's not showing your screen?
It's not showing my screen. Sorry about that, folks. Murphy's Law, whatever can go wrong will go wrong. What have I done wrong?
Do the presentation.
All right, let me go from beginning. What do you see? Okay. Okay.
You say your first. No,
Okay.
Jason, while it's not in presentation mode, at least
it's
we were
good.
seeing the slides, so you could do it that way.
Okay. Okay. Something technical. We're just figuring it out now. There we go. I think we're good now. Thank you, Mr. Hope. All right. So intellectual property. Now, thank you for having me here. One of the things Ms. Bellamy alluded to that was it's a very important collaboration between JIPO and the IEEE, and it's something that she thought very important that I come and speak with you guys and be a part of the education, because one of the things we found is that a lot of people don't get into intellectual property until they've been infringed. So people don't know that JIPO exists um, until they've been infringed, and that's really unfortunate. So similarly, we need to get the exposure out there to tell people what JIPO is about and what this thing about intellectual property is. So the first slide really speaks to what is intellectual property. No, intellectual property is the result of intellectual activity, right? That occurs in the scientific, industrial, literary, artistic, or musical, or even dramatic fields. So anything that you possibly can come up with has intellectual property. No matter what you think of, no matter how small it is, it has intellectual property. And what we need to do is we need to make the relationship between intellectual property and commercialization, really, right? So why is intellectual property relevant? No. So when you create something and you've done something like that, there is every product in our daily lives has some sort of value added to it. From this intellectual activity, that value really improves the product. So, I mean, what I have here is a picture of an old cell phone, and if you look at the old cell phone now, you think of yourself, How did we ever get from that? And back in the day, that was a technology of the time. That was an old Apple, I think it was an Apple iPhone 2. And even further down in the screen, you'll see a BlackBerry. Now, people, I mean, sure, some people don't know BlackBerry, but back in the day, a BlackBerry was the most sought after phone that was ever. It was just so revolutionary at the time. Nobody could ever think about any other phone other than a BlackBerry. Now, the problem with the BlackBerry is that BlackBerry never evolved. They were kind of stuck in their business method. And because they didn't evolve with the times, BlackBerry went behind. And so sometimes if you do not evolve, this is the primary thing that can happen to a product. So this is why we need to get involved in intellectual property, because this kind of development occurs in everyday product, right? So really, why do we promote intellectual property? We really promote intellectual property to promote the well-being of humanity, right? IP is constantly evolving around us. Everything that we do, everything that is out there involves some level of IP. So when you have this IP, what you have to do is you have to create the legal protection for this so that you can maximize the profit that you can earn from this creativity, right? And when you create this profit, when you're maximizing this profit, it encourages economic growth for the country, or it creates new jobs, it creates new industries. COVID is a primary example. COVID has created some new industries. It has destroyed some industries, but it has created some new industries. So we continue to enjoy life because there's this constant innovation happening all around us, right? So the Jamaica intellectual property, what does the Jamaica intellectual property do in all of this, right? So JIPO really has mandate for administering all intellectual property laws and systems in Jamaica, right? This is the major mandate of JIPO, right? This was done through a cabinet decision, right, in 1999 to strengthen the administration of intellectual property in Jamaica, because intellectual property was in several different government areas all over Jamaica. So there was this the consensus to establish a one office where all intellectual property could be administered from. So in February 2002, we established the Jamaica Intellectual Property Office, which is a statutory agency under government, right? And it was established under the JIPO Act of 2001, right? So the role and function of JIPO is, as I said before, it's administering all intellectual property laws in Jamaica, right? Which includes patents, trademarks, designs, copyright, geographical indications, layout designs and topologies, and plant varieties. The plant varieties is a new legislation that we're still working on the legislation for. So hopefully soon we will be able to come up with that kind of legislation, right? So the role of JIPO really is to advise the minister who has portfolio for intellectual property, to give him advice as to what matters might be arising and what IP laws need to be updated or anything like that. So we also want to promote a progressive and develop IP rights in Jamaica. So when we started JIPO 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago, it really was to develop a culture. We've been in that short space of time, if you can call it short, we've been trying to develop an IP culture because we had no IP culture before. So this is one of our major tasks, is to really develop our IP culture, right? So JIPO really is responsible for the development and the protection of intellectual property, the administration and the enforcement of intellectual property. And after the right, the left of your screen, you'll see a picture of one of our intellectual property week activities, which is the enforcement of IP rights, where we basically destroy infringing goods. So these are all goods that are seized by customs, and we definitely we destroy these goods as a part of our IP week celebrations, so that we publicly display the destruction of infringing goods, right? So the role of JIPO really is to offer international level of intellectual property protection in Jamaica to rights holders, right? To heighten public awareness, right? Which is what I'm doing here. Hopefully you guys who never heard of JIPO before know about JIPO now, and then understand that there's a place to protect your intellectual property, right? And what the value of that intellectual property is, right? And we are trying to facilitate global trade, because countries don't want to do business where there are no up-to-date IP laws, because they fear infringement. And so companies and countries and organizations want to do business where there is a robust intellectual property system, right? So intellectual property really is divided into two main categories. The first category is copyright, which includes literary works such as novels, poems, plays, film, musical works, artistic works such as drawings, paintings, photographs, sculptures, and these other things. So all the artistic things fall under the realm of copyright. And industrial property, which, as the word industrial really states, focuses on the industrial nature of IP, which really deals with inventions for patents, trademarks, right? Industrial designs, and geographical indications. And I'm going to go into those areas in a little bit. So I would just like to cover copyright first. So copyright, most people in Jamaica understand intellectual property to be copyright. Now, copyright is a very important area of intellectual property, but it's not the only area of intellectual property. But because we are a musical society, people just mostly associate intellectual property with copyright. As I said before, so copyright really covers those artistic areas of intellectual property. The whole music industry is covered by copyright. The maps that are drawn, technical drawings, photographs, computer programs, which is a very important element also. People don't know that computer programs are covered by copyright. It's a very important thing, because copyright protects the computer program, the literary work of the computer program, the ones and zeros. Those are the things that are covered by copyright, right? So anything of that artistic nature is covered by copyright, right? And what does copyright really protect or provide? It provides the right holder from nobody copying the work or utilizing the work without their authority, right? And this right is something that can be passed on to generations, because this copyright lasts for the life of the rights holder plus 95 years. So it can be willed to your next generation. And this is something that is utilized. It can be willed along generations. So it can be generational wealth for your children. So this is something that is really important aspect to really take in, is that copyright can be, generational wealth. If you're Bob Marley and you will all your copyright to your children, it would be very beneficial to your wife and your children, right? How is copyright and related rights regulated? Well, it's regulated that in that copyright is automatic. You don't need to register copyright. It doesn't require any formalities. However, many countries, including Jamaica, provide a national system of optional registration for you to deposit your works. This means that if for a nominal fee, JIPO will take your work and we will keep it safe for you, and you can use it. You can come and use it as evidence if you should have any proceeding. So we offer you this service at a nominal fee so that you can protect your copyright. Additional, because I've heard the story already before. People, when they heard about the free method of copyright, they say, but they can't keep the work or they can't store the work properly because their situation is not good. So that is one of the things that the services that JIPO offer, which is a very important service, right? So the benefit really is it prevents essential components of the human creativity from being infringed. And this is really one of the key areas, as I said before. So it allows you to benefit economically from the songs that you do, from the dances that you do, from anything that you do. It helps you, the rights holder, to benefit from those things, right? So the copyright holder has an exclusive right to use the work in whatever form. He can authorize anybody who wants to use the work. He can authorize it. Usually it's for a fee. He can authorize anybody to use the work, right? Nobody can copy the work without his authority, right? Nobody can issue copies to the public or anything like that without the rights holder's authority. And nobody can perform the work or play or anything without the authority of the rights holder. So as we said before, industrial property really covers this is the four major areas which industrial property really covers. And it is patents, trademarks, industrial designs, and geographical indications. And we're just going to speak briefly on these today because we're going to go into other areas of the webinar that will talk about these topics in more detail, right? So the first area is patents. Now, patents are the exclusive rights granted to an inventor for a particular element or a particular invention. And this usually is, in Jamaican's case, it's usually lasting for 14 years, right? And it's in exchange for full disclosure of the patent information. So remember how I was saying that intellectual property is important for the evolution. If you look at the screen, you'll see the evolution of the computer. And in first instance, it's how the computer evolved from this big room to a big machine to a reasonably sized machine, which they started calling the personal computer. And then it has evolved to the laptop, which you can carry anywhere now, and so on. So that evolution really depicts the patent process, that constant innovation, right? So a patent may be the exclusive right for a product or a process, right? It provides a technical method of doing something. So it usually solves a problem. So the problem initially was that if you wanted a computer in your house, you had to dedicate a room to that computer. Then it got to be a situation where it moved from a room to a desk. So it was a situation where you improve the size of the components, and you improve the processing speed of the components through several patents. And then until you got it down to a situation where you can travel anywhere with your laptop, and your office is now anywhere you desire it to be. Your office could be in your home, your office can be on an aircraft, it can be anywhere. So these are the things. So it's a solution to a technical solution to a problem, right? The patent system as a strategic tool. Now, these are the four significant functions of a patent. It facilitates technology transfer. What does that mean? That really means that if somebody else comes up with the technology and you're interested in using it, you can acquire that knowledge of how to use it from that person. So the patent system facilitates that. The patent system also facilitates research and development. So a lot of the computers we saw were initially developed by some companies, but then other companies researched their technology, improved on it, and there was this constant chain of evolution, as you could see through the different companies going through the history of computers, right? It serves as a catalyst for new technologies and in new businesses. So sometimes you will find that the first computers did not have microchips, and therefore it was a lot slower and it was a manual process of processing things. And then a new technology emerged called the microchip. And then the microchip was allowed to allow things to go faster and could process a wider variety of things. Now, this technology evolutionized the computer industry, and it increased and it turned into a whole new Silicon Valley, and it increased it. So all businesses now were producing microchips and different types of boards and these things to really create this new technology to create the personal computer. And it empowers business, especially SMEs. And as Ms. Bellamy had alluded to earlier, our IP week this year, the theme really is centered about SMEs. And this is one of the key areas for patents, because what patents will do is will enable your SMEs to grow in just by accumulating IP as an asset. So SMEs really are able to use IP to grow their business. And this is these are the things that we really need to study, right? Patent rights holders, right? So right, the patent owner can utilize, he can give permission to anybody to license or use his patent. So he has an exclusive right for the time that his patent is in force. He has an exclusive right to use or grant permission, or he can even give a license to anybody who he might want to use the patent. The patent holder might even sell the patent. So a patent, just like any intellectual property, is a right that you can use to leverage. You can sell it like an automobile, or you can sell it like land, and you can gain wealth. Or it might be even very useful should you have to grow the business, should you be acquiring business, should you get a loan to grow your business. Intellectual property could be used, right? So one of the things is that patents are granted through the Intellectual Property Office, right? And it is used, right, in this way so once you have protection, it can be used as a very valuable tool and an inspiration to other rights holders to go forward, and this is what you want to do. You want to leverage your intellectual property. So it's one thing to just have intellectual property, but it's always about leveraging that intellectual property. Now we come to another distinctive area of intellectual property called trademarks. Now, trademark is a distinctive sign that is used to distinguish goods and services, right? So I know we have we have a lot of guests that are international, so they might not recognize some of these trademarks. But these are some very famous local trademarks that are known, I think would be known to most of our Jamaican delegation. And I think it denotes different areas of, so it shows the power of a brand. You don't have to have a lot of words. You don't have to have words in your brand to really tell you what the product is about. The DNG, if I just mention it to you guys, I'm sure, well, maybe the older folks will understand what a DNG is. And that is the Appleton. Well, it does say Jamaican rum below it, but everybody knows what kind of product that comes there. And Lascaux to some extent has always been a
Oh,
very
same to you. Yeah, yeah, I'm hearing you. I won't call you back. I won't call you back.
oh, oh, um, trademarks, right? So trademarks really are words, names, symbols, colors that distinguish goods and services. So truthfully, after you've come up with a product, right? It's usually important to put a trademark on it. So I'm trying to go through the natural progression of IP. So after you've come up with all the creativity, you want to put your brand on it because you want your brand to stand out.
Unfortunate, because I was going to say to you, you report them now for somebody to come in and check them out. I know it's you.
Um,
Yeah, that's what we need to call.
yes. So trademarks is one of the
And when
key
last competencies,
the key things. So trademarks, unlike patents, protect for a period of 10 years, but this 10-year period is renewable every 10 years. So you can have a trademark indefinitely. I think one of our oldest trademarks in Jamaica is basically from the 1900s. I think it's from 1894, I think. And I think it's for Cadbury. So it goes to show you how old and how important a brand can be, right? Trademark are brand names which identifies and distinguishes the goods from one another. So I'm sure you understand there might be a difference between Cadbury and another brand of chocolate, but this is the importance of why you want to make that distinction and why you'd want to protect that distinction, because your brand has the reputation of your company behind it, your brand and your product behind it, right? So really, what does trademark do? A trademark is protection against passing off. So you don't want somebody to come and try to mimic your trademark and mimic your reputation and be passing off themselves as being affiliated with your organization. That is what the importance of trademark. So the thing is, if you do not protect your trademark, you cannot prevent somebody else from using your trademark. So you have to protect your trademark, right? Registration guarantees exclusive use of the trademark, right? So nobody can come and say that they want to use the trademark also without your authority, right? You can always give someone permission to use your trademark, but you yourself have to give them permission. It can't be a situation where just anybody can just pick up and use your trademark. So if you decided that you wanted to use just the Grace, you had a ketchup company and you wanted to put Grace ketchup on your thing, that would attract a very a very lucrative letter, I should say, because that would be the problem, right? So so trademarks are applicable to specific goods and services, so that nobody can put just put Grace on any ketchup bottle, because Grace is protected specifically in relation to ketchup. Right? These are the things that you want. So originality is really determined, and then nationality in some cases is really determined. So you're looking at um, you're looking at Grace is a well-known mark in Jamaica. I don't know if our international participants know about Grace ketchup, but to Jamaicans, Grace is a very well-known mark. And if you offer some other ketchup to Jamaican people, they're very offended. And so this is the power of a brand, right? So well-known marks might not necessarily need to be registered, but it usually is registered, right? And protection, as I said before, it's for a fixed period of time, but then it is always renewable indefinitely, right? So the third area we'd like to talk about is an industrial design. Now, the industrial design is the ornamental or aesthetic element of an article, right? This design may consist of the three-dimensional features such as the shape, the surface, or the article, or two-dimensional features such as the pattern, the colors, and the lines. I use a Coca-Cola bottle as an example of a famous design because the bottle itself has a distinctive feature that Coca-Cola doesn't want anybody to utilize. So this bottle is, if anybody were to try and utilize the shape of the put their product in this bottle, I'm sure they'd get a nice lawyer letter from the Coke people, right? So designs can be applied to a wide range of craft products also, right? It can be applied to handicraft, medical instruments, watches, or jewelry, right? Other luxury items, household items, right? Electrical appliances, even vehicles, even cars are considered designs. Textiles, shirts, those kind of things. Goods of luxury, those leisure, those are the things that are registered as industrial designs, right? So design, why we protect designs? Because designs protect from anybody from copying or imitating. Oh, my thing keeps moving, right? Protects anybody from copying your article, and it really prevents an authorization, and it allows the rights holder again to get fair use on their creativity. So it's all about fair use. So it's all about giving the creator, the proper right holder, what he deserves. No, geographical indications, right? GIs are really it's a right, it's an intellectual property right that denotes, it usually comes from an agricultural process or products, right? And what it does is it denotes that this product comes from a certain region or or it has certain characteristics that are very unique to a certain area, such as climate, such as soil content, such as flavor, because the flavor might be a result of the soil or anything like that. So I'm going to show you a couple well-known GIs, and you can tell me if you recognize any of them. So first one we have is basmati. Now, basmati comes from a region of India, which is it's a very excellent rice, and that is so it has a very unique flavor and a very unique texture that makes it famous, right? And I think it's due to the region that it comes from, right? Then we have champagne, which comes from a region in France that is specific to that region, right? Then you have Chianti, which comes from Italy, and I think it's related to it. Chianti is a type of wine, and then you have Cognac, which is French. You have Darjeeling tea, which is another one, which is an important Indian tea. You have Gruyere, which is a Swiss cheese that is very good. You have Havana cigars, which is it's very important that so the Cubans have been active in seeking their protect, because the Cuban cigar, I've never smoked one, but I hear that they're very good in relation to cigars. You have Roquefort, which is I think it's a type of cheese, right? You have Swatch, which is a type of watch that comes from Switzerland. It's an excellent timepiece. And you have tequila, which comes from Mexico, right? Which is very important. So the Mexicans are known for their tequila, right? So Jamaican GIs, we have two GIs so far. We have many more potential GIs, but we have two particular GIs so far to date, which is Jamaica rum, right? Which we are famous for, and we are also famous for Jamaican jerk. We are looking to get Blue Mountain coffee. There's so many other things that we have that could be potential GIs. We're hoping that we will soon be able to register these potential GIs in Jamaica, right? So IP as a valuable asset. This is the last thing that I really want you guys to get today, right? IP is one of the most valuable things that you can you can use, right? You can leverage your IP by a license agreement. It gives you exclusive rights to manufacture. The purchase and the purchase or the distribution agreements. So IP is very important. It prevents anybody from it. It's actually very useful in any mergers that your company might want to do, because people might want to merge with your company because they want to acquire some of your IP rights. So the thing that I wanted to leave you with today is, if you use your if you create it, you should be able to protect it, and you should earn from it. And if you use it, respect it and pay for it. That's basically what I wanted to say. Thank you very much. Here's our contacts, and I welcome you to contact us at JIPO, and I look forward to our future interactions, and thank you for having me. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Jason, for going through the services and telling us about the JIPO office, Jamaica Intellectual Property Office. We are out of time, but we have 4 questions. I would like to just read them through quickly, and you could just the first one. Let me go to our first question. At what stage of the innovation you recommend to start protection? That's the first question.
Okay.
You can go, and then when you're through, then I'll ask the other.
Okay, so at the stage when you have you can start at any time to protect, because there are different stages in which you can protect, and to different levels you can protect, right? But I would definitely recommend to get a patent when you have a prototype, or when you have the first finish, maybe not in its perfect form, but I definitely recommend you try to put your documentation together and start your protection process.
Okay, great. Next question is, can non-citizens of Jamaica protect their innovations in Jamaica, like our members from in the USA?
Definitely. So right now it is a somewhat an international system. So you don't have to be a resident or domicile in Jamaica to protect. A lot of our clients are international clients, and we do encourage, if you have something to protect and you're going to commercialize it in Jamaica, do register in Jamaica.
Okay. So our final 2 questions are, how about team projects at university level? How would you propose protection? Like team students who do their team project at the end of their studies.
Okay,
How
so
would
we get this question a lot, and one of the things I definitely like to refer you guys to, there is an intellectual property um, agreement that the university has. So you need to read it very carefully to see who owns what, because sometimes in the cases of university projects, it is the university that owns these projects. So be very careful and mindful of what thinking that you own something and you might not. It might be the property of the university.
Okay, thanks. So the final question that is there, it says, how does student protect their projects? I think you already answered that one. And it says, are there special fees for students to protect their work?
Okay, good question. No, there are no special fees right now. That's a very good question. No, there are no special fees, but I know in the United States they have a special fee tier system. We don't have that special system in Jamaica, but right now patents are very inexpensive. And I do encourage people, if you have something that you want to protect, it's really, I didn't mention the fees in my presentation because they're fees that are outgoing fees. So if you have something to protect, protect it. No, copyright is relatively cheap. Trademarks are a little bit more expensive, and patents are ridiculously cheap. It's 15 Jamaican dollars for a patent.
Oh my God, are you serious? Okay, so we need to spread this more to our students. So because we have a lot of students within our universities, they come up with some brilliant ideas, some brilliant projects, and then they're just there in their library or they're on shelves and we do not implement. So I think we probably need to, or maybe JIPO or and ourselves need to promote how these students can get these projects implemented and protected and implemented.
Yeah, that is a key of what we're saying, because the brilliant idea sitting on the shelf does nothing. It doesn't earn any money. It's just on the shelf and it looks nice, yeah, but it doesn't earn money. And the whole purpose of this is to earn money. So people always think that you have to go and you have to dress up every day in a shirt and a tie to go and make money, but you can actually make money from your creativity. And this is something that we're trying to get out there.
Okay, thank you very much, Jason. I'm not seeing any other question. So with that said, we want to thank you and the JIPO team for collaborating with the Women in Engineering, IEEE Women in Engineering, with this webinar series. And we invite members on the call to join us again on June 23rd, when we'll do our second section. We'll take you through the process on how to process before the application, because there's actually a process that you need to go through before you actually submit your application. So I'd like to thank you all for joining us today. Thank you all, and we will make the presentation and the slides and the video and the recordings available to our attendees. If there are no other questions or you like to have final words, Jason, then any final words? Or Mrs. Bellamy?
Just reminding you about IP Week from the 23rd of April to the 2nd of May, and we'll share the links with you so that you can distribute with all of your membership. Because I think that
Definitely.
would give them an even better opportunity to ask questions and to get more information. So the next webinar, they will be chomping at the bit with more questions.
Okay. We will definitely share the link with our members and invite them to join on the call for the IP Week sessions. So thank you again for having us, and we look forward again to the next webinar series. Thank you all for joining.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your time.
Awesome.
Please answer the poll questions. Right? Survey.
Do you require more information? Moving so fast.